Women's History Month.
And to you as well.
Diane, it is such a treat to be here with you celebrating these life-changing innovations that women have brought to the world. And I am so proud of the work that the ITA team, our ITA team, has done to promote women exporters. But I'd like to get a little bit more personal. Is there a woman that has especially inspired you?
There are a lot of women. I think you and I could probably spend an hour going through a list of women that we admire, some of whom are well known and some of whom are very well known to us that have made a difference in our lives. I will say that when you asked the question, Madeleine Albright comes to mind immediately. Probably not surprising given the work that we do and the passion that we feel for the work that we do, and clearly the passion that created someone as dynamic as Madeleine. So, just to remember her background, importantly, the very first woman Secretary of State for the United States, and that is phenomenal. She earned that throughout her entire life and, was not born in the United States. I mean, she has an extraordinarily interesting history in terms of understanding what then became some of the key conflicts during her tenure as Secretary of State. So coming from Eastern Europe, a father who had a very interesting diplomatic career, but was also caught up in some incredibly turbulent times that actually resulted in the family having to leave where they were originally to seek a safer environment for their burgeoning family here in the U.S. So she became a naturalized citizen at the age of 20. She was a very dynamic ambassador to the United Nations. She tells a great story about how she was waiting for President Clinton's call to ask her to become his Secretary of State. And there's something about Madeleine to know. And, of course, it's 2 years this month that we lost her. But, don't forget, she then went on to create the Albright Stonebridge Group. She was an amazing board member on so many corporate boards. So not only did she represent women in one area when we talk about the importance of the United States voice around the world and the influences even that she had domestically, but then what she did in terms of influencing the private sector. And so when we talk about women and we talk about opportunities, young women all the way up through their careers, she was someone who really understood, who was able to maintain the balance of family life, her aspirations, I think the strong feelings, ties that she had to the work that her parents had done. And she was just a phenomenal person. So someone that I've long admired and followed and would love to emulate. Now, how about you?
Well, with me, it's a no-brainer. It's Marie Curie. Yeah. She was an amazing scientist, the absolutely first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and in physics, no less.
Yeah.
And not satisfied with that, a few years later, she won a second Nobel Prize, and this time in chemistry. Marie Curie has so fundamentally changed how we think about radioactivity. Anytime that you go to the doctor and have an X-ray taken, you can thank Marie Curie for giving us that diagnostic tool. But what I most admire about Marie Curie is when she was interviewed following her second Nobel Prize, she was asked which of her accomplishments she was most proud of, and she was dismissive. She says, I don't look on what I've already done. I only focus on what I have yet to accomplish. And I think that that is a spirit that drives so many of the innovative, creative women that we have here at ITA and at Commerce.
I couldn't agree more. And I like you, I couldn't be prouder of our entire workforce, of course. But it's really about creating a society that can be as inclusive as possible, that can be as complementary as possible when we talk about having to address some of the incredibly challenging dynamic that I think every generation finds themselves in, but we certainly feel that at this moment in time particularly.
Well, as I hope is evident to everyone who is watching this, Diane and I could go on for hours, but I think we'll wrap up by saying Happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month, and let's redouble our efforts every month thereafter to make sure that we are as inclusive as possible.